Today I'm going to be showcasing the new Graviton Beam 16 weapon in the current events, which has the following implants. But for the most part, I will be using the legendary beam pilot Asami with the following implants and stats. So, I think an important thing to note is that when you're using a single Graviton Beam 16, it actually works really well on Stalker, and that's purely because its ability to keep itself alive with the ability. And even though normally, because the perk falls off very quickly for Graviton Beam, and it takes a bit to actually accumulate, normally you want Stasis Beam paired with this weapon to make your targets slower. They can't really get away. It makes it more likely that you'll actually be able to, deal the damage with the effect of Graviton Beam. But in terms of Stalker, you actually do probably just want a Thermal Lance, and that's purely to reduce the kill time as much as possible. And that's really what's going to keep you alive here, like you're seeing with this. There are a lot of really good games that I had with Stalker. This is just one of them. And yeah, get 15, almost 20 kills. It's not bad at all. A lot of people I have seen in comments of other videos or posts or whatever, I've seen them saying, Graviton Beam doesn't really look that good, I don't really think I want it. But if you watch to the end of this video, I think you will be able to make up your mind. And the difference between Graviton Beam gameplay from other people and Graviton Beam gameplay from myself is that I am very good at using beams. I've been using stasis beams for a long time. I've been using a lot of beam weapons, and I don't handicap myself by using, them only on Panther, which is a good mech for beams, but Panther just makes it easy. And it means that you don't really learn how to use beams properly or effectively. You really do need to keep your distance. You want to be, generally speaking, probably about 70 meters away from your enemies, if at all possible. Now, although I believe a single Graviton 16 works best on Stalker, I have tried it on other mechs, like MD. The main issue with MD specifically is just weapon-mech pairing. The ability is good when paired with this. When you have a beam weapon, you really need something that is going to be able to counteract the damage that you'll inevitably be taking. Because regardless of what you're using, be it Panther or anything else, regardless of how you try to protect yourself, you're going to take some amount of damage. So being able to get that HP back is great. The only thing is that it heals itself relatively slowly. And you don't need that amount of time to reload your weapons, so there's a significant amount of time to where you're just kind of hiding from the enemies, making sure that they don't, hit you and counteract your ability, so that you're not even healing during that. You want to be able to heal, and if enemies can see you, they're probably going to hit you and keep you from healing at all. So while you're sitting there, healing up, for the most part, your weapon is, fully reloaded, and you're more or less just wasting potential damage output. That's really the only thing that I would say. Otherwise, it is decent. Not completely optimal, but it is fairly decent. In terms of Graviton 10, I can't really vouch for that, because I do not actually have that weapon. This is the only Graviton Beam that I have. And I got it because it's really the only one that I will probably need/use. The 10 would be nice, the 12 would be nice, it gives you a few more options, but if you wanted to throw this weapon on a medium mech, you can always use the 16 and a Thermal Lance or something, and it still works very well. So, if you want to get even just one of them, this would be the one to get. It is pretty good for light mechs, especially MD, because, it is a support mech, and as per usual, it would be better if you have a team to actually be able to get some more usage out of that healing. But the implosion damage from this weapon is honestly no joke. It takes a while to accumulate, and it falls off really fast if you're not able to build the effect up completely. But it does a lot, like you saw just there. Like, he was at like a third HP. It packs a punch, and it significantly reduces the exposure time that you're dealing with. And I think for that reason mostly, it is the best of all of the beam weapons. So for the sake of argument, I also tried this weapon on Shadow and Tengu. I don't have any footage of Tengu, but I do have some footage here of Shadow. I was not very impressed. Now, that's mostly because when I use Shadow, I understand what its capabilities are. I understand, you know, what its potential is. And using it linearly like this, you know, trying to just kind of run around out in the open, staying more or less the same distance away from your enemy, while just kind of bobbing back and forth and trying to get some damage in. It's not really the best way to use Shadow at all. And that's largely what you'll be doing if you equip something like Arc Torrent onto Shadow, although Arc Torrent's a little bit better. It's still relatively the same thing, so I don't really recommend that you use either weapon on Shadow, to be completely honest. But if you do enjoy using Shadow with Arc Torrents, then you might also enjoy using Shadow with this Graviton 16. But as you'll see in a moment, things really start to get interesting once you are able to duplicate this weapon. Now, when you do that at rank 6, you'll be able to dual equip them on any, you know, max heavy mech, which I only have 2 of, but I will show you some gameplay here. Now, these are level 1, and I'm still using Asami, as you can see on the bottom. This is giving me no perk apart from just the beam damage and damage buff. But you can see the effect accumulates within like less than a second of time onto the enemy. Like, I destroyed that Juggernaut in basically 0 time at all. Now, this is a real player, and it didn't take too long for me to beam him down either. And this is actually kind of crazy. The implosion damage, it's not like, you know, completely crushing to everything, but even that guy, any light mech that gets in your way, they're gone. Like, you saw that, I think it was a cheetah, at least it was for a little bit, and it had basically full health. About a half second of me applying that to him, and he's dead. Like that Zephyr, like this guy. So much damage in such a short period of time, and these weapons recharge very quickly. There is a mag implant for these weapons. It's only a rare. Rare is the highest tier that you can get, but these things already have really good magazine size, and I am very impressed with dual wielding these things. Like, these are actual 16 energy heavy beam weapons, like you would expect a good heavy weapon to do. I don't think that they necessarily overperform that of, like, you know, Disc Launcher 16 or Railgun 16, but I feel that they are genuinely pretty much equally viable to those weapons. And especially against bots, it's basically game over after you apply the effect to them. It's absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. And this is what I'm talking about. A lot of people would struggle with this. This is more or less the potential that you have. And that's what I wanted to show you here, was more or less the potential of these weapons, not necessarily how well you're going to do. Most people aren't that good with beams because the previous beams that existed in the game are not that good. So a lot of people aren't that great with it. Here I'm using Redox, but I'm actually using Yeti, the Epic Beam Pilot, with some Graviton Beam specific implants on there that I managed to get. So I have an extra 21 meters range, I believe, a rare mag size, and a rare damage implant, both at level 4, I believe. And yeah, the extra range is honestly one of the more important things. If you can get the legendary or epic range implants, that's going to do you pretty well. I think the only thing that these weapons are lacking is range. And I don't believe they have any damage fall off. I have yet to, like, in detail test this weapon. I will at some point, very soon, but I've yet to do that just yet. But yeah, Redox, which is a, you know, classically super weak mech. This thing is just shredding. Now, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it, and congratulations to the winners of this month's A-Coin giveaway. This is a little bit last minute, and I did start the giveaway a little bit late. I'm going to try to start it earlier for next month, but no promises. I still got some things going on. But anyway, yeah, generally speaking, I would have to say I really do love these weapons. I think they're super effective, and if you like beam weapons too, you should probably get you some.